Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still such trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good evening and welcome along to Tuesday evenings for the UkSimracers MX5 Season 1 of 2023 Round 5 at Sandown in Australia. I am James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth once again by Zach Sweeney for what plans to be a very epic evening of racing. 13 corners on this track, current length 3.104 kilometres, 1.928 miles, 13 turns set in the location in Melbourne, Australia. Now the interesting thing about this circuit is it opened in 1968 and it's currently running their supercar championships every single year and their Sandown Super Sprint. Now, it formerly held the GT World Challenge Australia and the World Sports Car Championship as well. And one of their major events is the Sandown 500 here as well. That has been taking place since the creation of the V8 supercars in 1997. So, one of the other things to mention as well, it is an anti-clockwise circuit. So let's bring Zach Sweeney into the booth and we can have a chat about that. Zach, welcome in. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to some more MX5s. You know, it's Tuesdays. You've got to. It's MX5s. There's nothing. What's not there to love?
Exactly, and we are here in Australia, home of our mighty Dean Biggles, of course, who's who's from this native world. Interesting circuit, this, isn't it? There's. Even though he expressively says there's 13 corners, I think you could probably take into consideration that might be a little bit less if you count one as one continual corner and not the three that it's got it at.
Whoa. You mentioned turn 6, 7, and 8 as sort of a bit of a wishy-washy one. I'm looking more at turn 5 and turn 10 on the track map, because as you come out of the 90-degree left-hander of turn number 9, you go down sort of a back straight towards the braking zone of turn 11 before you run off the lap. Turn 10, you have to literally look like so close to even realise that it actually is a corner. But more interestingly, you know, corner numbers and blah, blah, blah aside, this is going to be very tricky as, well, even Pete Van Goor has just proven there. You know, the curbs are monstrously high. They are huge. And while, you know, curbs, sometimes are, you know, quite difficult at different out of the circuit, you know, like the Nürburgring, etc., etc., you come to Sandown and they are massive. Couple that with the fact that it's not exactly the newest circuit in the world. You know, as you say, it's been around since the 60s. It's not got an extensive amount of runoff. You know, there's grass, there's barriers, there's everything around you. It's tight, it's twisty, it's narrow. I think it's going to be a difficult one. Quite similar, actually, because it's a short circuit as well, only 1.9 miles in length. So I'd say it's going to be quite a similar affair to what we saw last time out with Belle Isle, maybe just to a bit more of a turn-down extent.
Yeah, I think so too. You can see some of the curbs there on your screen currently as we go on board with Tom Griffiths, of course. He's going down the long start-finish straight, one of the, you know, the longest part on the circuit, above the back one, which leads from 4 to 6. Now, as we said, there is a turn there in turn 5. It's expressed by a turn from a curb that's about a metre long in length, okay, so it's not very long whatsoever. We'll try and pick up on the curb with Tom Griffiths here as he's going around. This is through turn 2 and 3 and into the tricky left-hander of 4. Now, if you can see turn 5, if you watch the right-hand side, there is a curb there. That's initially what they're classing as. That's turn 5.
I mean, you can see the track turns, which, fair enough, then constitutes it as a turn, but it's not really a turn, is it? It's like turn 2 Austria. Like, it's that same principle. It's a corner, yes, you can see the track turns, but it's not going to be like a challenge or anything like that. It's just going to be flat out, cool, keep the momentum running, and off you go. And then you get to this bit, obviously the bit that you were talking about, turn 6, 7, 8, where if you get the line right, you can pretty much just straight line it, and hopefully you don't end up like Tom Griffiths does on the exit of turn 9.
And that's the problem with turn 9. That very large curb on the outside, I think, is going to catch a lot of people out here. If they go in too hot into this section, that outside curb is going to be punishing if they're too much. Now, E1 Bremer makes it through successfully there. You can see everybody else behind the two Momo boys stay off it. So you've got to look back and weigh up the pros and cons of this circuit. As we say, it's an old school circuit. There's not runoff. It's not Silverstone. You've not got long areas to run into. You've not got long gravel to go and slow you down. You've got a barrier left, a barrier right, a bit of grass, not a lot of it, and a whole heap of trouble if you do get this wrong. So be aware, this is going to be an interesting evening of racing. It's going to be great to see how these guys manage with this circuit. And as I say, one of the very few anti-clockwise circuits as well, because we are obviously turning left from turn 1, so it does make it anti-clockwise. So it's going to bring a different kind of racing tonight, isn't it? And then we throw into the consideration of a top 18 reverse after turn 1, after race 1, and then obviously, you know, random reverses for race 2 and 3. There's a lot involved in what seems to be a very tight circuit here, and looking at the barriers around the outside, you would almost guess that at some point this has been a racehorse ground as well, because they're racehorse barriers. Yeah, they're racehorse barriers.
Well, yeah, multi-purpose, I suppose. You know, get the bang for your buck, have the race course on the outside and have the horse racing on the inside, I suppose. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a tricky circuit, as you say. It's very, very punishing. The curbs especially, I think, are going to be the major talking point. But also, as you say, the reverse grid element means that just because a driver's quick, right, doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be able to work their way through the field, because I anticipate this to be sort of a race of attrition. You know, if you don't fall victim to the curbs, you might actually find yourself picking up a couple of places. I don't think it's the only anti-clockwise circuit we've had so far. Rods Kogan, you turn left for turn number 1, don't you?
They go left and right and then lead off round.
So is it clockwise? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm probably guessing that's an anti-clockwise circuit. So is another one you can come to think of is Interlagos. As well. But initially, I will tell you now, going back to what we were talking about before with the racecourse, Sandown Racecourse was first built as a horse racing facility dating back into the 19th century, but closed in the 1930s in a government-run rationalisation programme. Redevelopment began not long after World War II, where the motor racing circuit was built around the outside. So it was initially a racecourse circuit.
They just realised 4 wheels was better than 4 legs, I suppose. They wanted more horsepower, as you know, not rather than just having a field of horses. They just wanted the engines. I don't know. Yeah, cool, awesome, nice little fun fact, I suppose, is the little bit there. Fortunately, though, we're not going around the horse racing circuit, because I think that would make for a very interesting display.
Yes, can you imagine that? MX5 grass tracking. But then again, we might see that anyway, considering the fact that we've now got 20 cars rushing out on circuit here, all at the same time for qualifying. So there you go. Thought they were going to use a horse track. No, Mr. Phil, they are not. It is the circuit built around the outside. Now, could that explain, though, the simplisation of the circuit? Because it is a very simple circuit. You know, it says 13 turns, but we've already covered that. But there's not much to it, is there? It's not a circuit that should primarily be difficult, but the very high curbs make it difficult.
At face value, you look at the track map and you think, really? That's a circuit? It's a bit boring, don't you think? Obviously, it's not. Obviously, it's built on a racecourse. It's not going to be massively undulating or anything like that. It is relatively flat by racetrack standards. The corners, I guess you could say, are a little bit boring. I mean, you know, quite a few 90 degrees. Not really much in terms of variation either. So, yeah, for sure. You know, as I said, at a fundamental level, yeah, for sure, it's not necessarily the trickiest circuit. But you've got the other attributing factors that go onto it, as you say, the curbs, the grass, the barriers, the fact that it is very narrow, the lack of runoff, all of that definitely do play into a factor as to why this circuit is so difficult. I guess you could sort of say the same about Belle Isle as well, like we went to last week, where, you know, face value, it's not the trickiest of circuits. You take the barriers away and you might be able to negotiate yourself quite easily. But obviously, because they're there, they're a bit of a hazard. So I think it's that sort of same principle. But, segueing into qualifying, I think it is going to mean that qualifying means a lot more around today as well. There we go, proving just how difficult it is through what you deem to be not even a set of corners.
Well, yeah, Ewan Bramer kind of straight-lined it, but took a little bit too much curb there and ended up straight-lining straight off into what is technically turn 9. So, again, proving the point, it's a little bit more tricky than what we're probably giving this circuit credit for along the lines as well. But Daniel Hunt over the line in a 1:22.108, the first man to set a time. Tom Griffiths behind that. Jamie Ayres, Miles Owens wrapped it up and put it into second. Sylvester fifth, Sean Yonye in sixth. We will bring the scores on the doors currently at the moment from the championship standings during the warm-up. So when we warm up after race 1, we will run through the scores there. Don't forget, we've got race 1 and 2, then we've got chase sessions for race 3 and 4, and then we'll wrap up the evening from there. All right, so we will bring you the scores up. We will do it during the warm-up of race 2 from race 1 to 2. So there we go. PBG out on track currently at the moment as well, and he's got Steve Hepford wrapped up right behind him currently at this moment in time here. Zach, do we think though, when we look at a circuit, generally qualifying is, we can say sometimes that pole position isn't exactly necessarily important. Are we looking at a different sort of thing here? Is it important that these guys get out in front first?
Well, pole position, wherever you go, it is an important thing. It's not necessarily going to kill you to get pole position. It's helpful. It boosts your confidence, boosts your morale. Says, you know what? Yeah, I'm the guy. I am going to put it on pole. I've got the pace. Boom, boom, bam. Clear track ahead of me. It lifts your spirit a little bit. Whether or not the track position or anything is as helpful, pole position is always a useful thing to have. Obviously, if you start in front, you've got the rest of the cars behind you. Simple as. But yeah, you're right in saying that at different circuits, it's going to mean different amounts. You go to Austria, like the Red Bull Ring, and it's like there are so many places to overtake. The slipstream is going to be massive. Being on pole, it could hamper you a little bit because everyone else behind you has the slipstream. Here, yes, there's quite a bit of time where you're sort of flat out or on a straight bit of racetrack. So yes, the slipstream is going to be a bit important. But with the narrowness, with, as we say, the difficulties in terms that we're expecting with overtaking, maybe pole position and having said track position might make it just that little bit easier to defend. And yeah, it's just going to put a little bit more pressure on drivers during qualifying, because it's not just a case of, oh, you know what, yeah, I flunked qualifying, I'm starting 5th. I can just make it up in a race. There we go. There's one way to mess up a qualifying lap. But, we've seen it before. Drivers not got the pace in qualifying, able to make it up in the race. Today, you're going to need both. You're going to need that one lap, all-out speed, pushing the car to the limit, and then being able to also transfer said pace and consistency into the race as well. But also, I guess, contradicting myself here a little bit, because these cars, you can take them anywhere and they will still race. They're nimble, they're agile, they're small, they're narrow. They're not exactly a high downforce capability car where every track is going to be a difficulty to overtake. So I guess there's pros and cons for both sides of the argument. Either way, it's not going to hurt to get pole.
I'm a little bit worried coming down into turn 1, not partly because this is a tight left-hander, partly because it's quite free-flowing. You see Steve Pepper just approach it here. There isn't a massive amount of braking, but you've got that very wide runoff on the right-hand side there, and I'm just wondering if they back up off the start, that runoff's going to come in handy for people to avoid an accident there, because they don't want to be trying to sort of close that corner off there if there's other cars on the inside.
Yeah, so obviously turn 1, it's melee, right? I mean, it's done, sorted, full stop. So having that margin for error definitely is going to help, because it means that you can potentially carry a bit more speed through turn number 1 and have the outside to lean on. It means you can be a little bit more punchy into turn number 1, because if the guy on the inside has been a little bit naughty, you're not going to be put into a barrier. Worst case scenario, you're going to be put off the track onto some more asphalt, which is fine. You can keep your foot in as long as you rejoin the track safely. It's fine. So for sure, I think it is going to be leaned upon, particularly if people outbrake themselves, and they've got that to use also. So yeah, the runoff on the area on the exit of turn number 1 is really going to help, and obviously to help survive the lap 1 carnage, because it's not a liberty that most circuits have. So I think Sandown is doing the drivers a bit of a favour in terms of the lap 1 carnage, because you've got 19-20 MX5s all hurtling their way into turn number 1. It's gonna get frisky.
Yeah, it definitely is. Gary, he said, evening all, how much practice beforehand do these guys get per track, or are they pretty up to date on any track being as good as they are? So practice-wise, there is a practice session that goes up during the week for them. They are able to obviously go out and practice on their own if they want to set up an AI race, or if they want to, you know, go out and do a time trial on the session that's set up. There are options available for them. Regarding whether or not they do, that's completely driver dependent on how much time they've got during the week. I've got to be honest. I think some of these people in this race are very, very busy individuals. So some might use the fact that the session opens at 5 o'clock. So they basically got about a 3-hour practice session before they go into qualifying. So they can use that 3 hours there beforehand to practice on the track, which I think sometimes probably the majority of them do due to time during the week. So I hope that clears that one up for you, Gary, and gives you all the information you need on that one. Any other questions, please post them in chat and we will answer where possible. Jamie Ayres is just about to go across the line, currently sitting in 6th place, goes into pole on a 120.813, only the second man into the 120s there, Zach. I think we may have hit a benchmark of what we're looking at.
100%. I think you've got to get under the sub 21 mark into the 20 seconds. Jamie Ayres, Daniel Hunt, as we can see, the top two as it stands, the only two into said threshold. Incredibly close though. Miles Owens is teetering on the edge of it. You can see there with the 25 dead. He wants to get under that, but again, it's a circuit where you have to nail every single apex, every single corner, because it's a short circuit. Yes, there's 13 corners, but overall there's less opportunity for you to gain said time. So you need to make sure that each and every apex that you hit is worth it, because over the whole percentage of the lap, each apex contributes to a higher percentage worth of lap time. So yeah, for sure it's going to be very important, but I think that's a really important lap for Jamie Ayres to put in, because up until this point, Daniel Hunt was looking fairly secure on pole position. Now he's got a bit of pressure on his shoulders. He's got to think, you know what, Ayres is looking quite quick, and now with, you know, just over 5 minutes left to go in qualifying, the pressure is on Hunt.
Yeah, it definitely is there as well. It's going to be a very interesting evening of racing here, guys, especially at this very tricky circuit that we are putting it down to. I think with the curbs, I think Zach is going to be causing a problem. The curbs are very high, and with 20 cars rushing there as well, it's going to be a very difficult circuit overall. So let's see how they get on and see how they cope. There are some people pulled into the pits, called it a day. Tom Griffiths is still going around. There are not much improvements normally during the last 5 minutes of the qualifying session, so we can look at some of the drivers that haven't set a time. So Alan Toon is out on track as well. So Alan Toon there coming round is just hopefully going to be able to register a time on the board. Not currently at the moment, so he's been out for a good old 6 laps. He must be racking off the off tracks, is Alan. So hopefully he'll be able to get a time on the board. Mick Barry hasn't got a time, and neither has Jason Haddington at the moment. Ewan Bramer has got a time. We saw him go off on track, of course. Puts himself into 13th place currently at the moment. So, you know, not a bad start. He did obviously have the off right at the beginning, but he's going to make it up for it here as well. Daniel Hunt, green and a purple in sector 1 and 2. He's on that run down, well, what they are classing as turn 10. Not that there's a corner there, as he goes into 11 and finishes off at turn 12. Now there is a kink, believe it or not, towards the left, which is there. That is turn 13 as he goes across the line. And let's see what time he's going to rack up. He's gone purple in sector 2, sector 3 as well. 120.6. They're swapping backwards and forwards.
That was a very, very good lap from Daniel Hunt there. 2/10, or just under 2/10 of a second, I should say, quicker than Jamie Ayres. As Arnaud Chagnon moves his way up into 6th. Jamie Ayres, not the best lap on his last time by, so obviously just a bit of a cool down, warm up, whatever it is. He's going again, but they haven't really got a lot of time left to do it. Daniel Hunt, I think, might have just put himself in the best position possible in order to go for pole. I'll be honest, he's improved a lot, and you can see they're pulling over. Of course, he's not partaken anymore in qualifying, so all the eyes are on to Jamie Ayres, potentially John Sylvester, Miles Owens as well. Don't count any of them out. Even Bramer, 2 wins so far this season, 6th place in the championship across the line. P13 does not do him justice at all. He improves a little bit to P8. It seems maybe that Bramer's not quite on it today. I hate to say it because he's a very quick driver, but yeah, maybe not being able to get the laps in early means that the pressure is on for these final couple.
Yeah, they look like as well. It doesn't help. It looks like that optical green car there could be Steve Hansford. I think might be sort of slowing up. If I was Ewan Bramer, I'd back away and give him about 5-10 seconds up the road here, because they're on a 1:24.55 for Steve and a 1:21.65. So at the moment, Ewan's about 3 seconds quicker, but he's not going to make that 3 seconds. He's obviously, if he's going to be behind Steve Hansford. So there we go. Welcome in, Mr. Craig Jones. Practice is for wimps, he has come out and said. Obviously, the man that took 2 wins in the JPB Clio Cup last night for the AMs, and I've not heard the end of it for the whole entire day, thinks practices for wimps. What do you think, Zach?
In my sim racing career, I've never really done practice. Even for the only esports competition I've ever done, I didn't really do that much practice. I oftentimes just feel better to do a few laps, brush myself up on the track, and then go again. But that's why I'm not a professional sim racer in that sense. See, we're in a very fortunate position with sim racing in the sense that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. It's virtual. You can log on to a session at 3 o'clock in the morning and do 100 laps. That's probably not the most productive way to do it, but you could do it. It's not like the restrictions of real life racing where you've got an hour on the weekend, that's your practice done, dusted, then you're thrown into qualifying. In terms of sim racing, you've got a plethora of opportunities. You've got the official races, you've got hot lap tracks, you've got AI races. You can train yourself around a circuit and you can get very, very good. And if you want to compete, you are going to need that practice. You know, Team Redline aren't winning everything because their drivers turn up and are naturally good. Yes, they're very good, but they need that refining. They need to get to a point where they are eking out little bits here and there. And that's what practice does. If you don't want to practice, that's fine. But if you want to compete, you need practice.
Well, there you go. Insight into driving there from Zach Sweeney, of course. A commentator for JPB, mind you, not a driver.
There's a reason I'm commentating, guys. So just take it with a pinch of salt. I was like, if I can't drive him, I might as well talk about him, right? There's a little bit. I know I completely contradicted what I said in the YouTube chat. I'm just saying get good in it. But, you know, I've got two sides to the story there. You know, either just be better or practice more. There's the two flips of the coin. But for sure, don't come to me for advice. I am dreadful. Yeah.
Well, I like to give the advice. It doesn't mean I'm any good at driving the advice. So I think, though, Zach, I think that the extent of our knowledge comes from the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of broadcasts that we do.
We've seen it. We see what happens.
Exactly.
Like, we know what you should do. We just can't do it.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things we've got to be knowledgeable in, and hopefully there will be able to bring you up the grid. As we say, doesn't necessarily we know what we're doing, we just can tell you about it. Daniel Hunt in at first, Jamie Ayres in second, John Sylvester third, Miles Owens fourth, Tom Griffiths fifth, Pete Van Gaal sixth, Arnold Chandonnier seventh, Ewan Bramer eighth, Darrell Wright ninth, Carl Jacklett 10th, Elise Main 11th, and Steve Hansford down in 12th place. Beyond that, we've got Charles Kellerman 13th, Jordan Serrett 14th, Ralph Cullinan 15th, Andy Litt the 16th, Steve Hansford 17th, Alan Toon 18th, Jason Anderton 19th, and Mick Barry down in 20th place. So there is going to be your pole man there, Daniel Hunt, as he gets ready to take the lights here this evening at Sandown in Melbourne, Australia. On the outside of a racecourse, which you can see to the right hand side of us there, sporting the lovely world of Ladbrokes. There are other shops available, of course. You can go wherever you like. I'm sure there's a few, not that I know many, to be honest, but here we go. Lights are going to be coming on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's green, green, green here in Australia. And it's Daniel Hunt with Jamie Ayres right next to him, Miles Owens and John Sylvester, the two PLT boys behind that. Pete Van Gaal, Tom Griffiths on the rundown into turn one currently as well. There is that runoff that they're going to need there, and somebody's made good use of that. That's one of the PLT boys there. I think that was Ewan Bramer on the left-hand side making use of that runoff there. So he is now, actually it was Miles Owens, car 986. Everybody through at the moment, Zach, no issues.
Yeah, into turn number one. Jamie Ayres basically pulled down Daniel Hunt's trousers to his ankles, nicked his lunch money, and ran off with it to the outside of turn number 1. That was sensational stuff. Brilliant way to start this race. Daniel Hunt obviously going in there with a little bit more caution, leading the championship. He's got to. He's demoted to second. Here's the fight for 4th as Pete Van Gool tries to work his way past Tom Griffiths. No moves into the next sequence of corners, of course. The quick fix to the right. There's very wide from the Dutchman Pete Van Gool using the limited runoff area that he's got. And the problem with doing that on lap number 1, James, not only do you get stuck out there, same too with Jamie S from the race lead as well. Oh my goodness me. And they are going to lose a heap of time all the way to the back of the field.
Yeah, both Momo boys, they're off currently at the moment, and this is what happened to Jamie Ayres. I think he's come in and it's just gone way too hot, and unfortunately he's taking it off track. So here we go. Jamie Ayres goes around the corner.
Curb.
Yep.
Brake. No,
miss completely. Yeah.
Off you go. Bang.
Oh,
Dosh.
ouch. It definitely has, but that's put Daniel Hunt up the front currently at the moment with John Sylvester behind him, Zach. That was not the ideal start for Team Momo there.
It was until it wasn't, pretty much, because, yeah, I mean, it was a great move into turn number 1. Wasn't the best of moves into turn 6, 7, and 8, though. Let's say that much. It was just a hop, skip, and a jump. Unsettled the car once, led to the car being unsettled even more, going over the curb, and then one thing led to another, and he's in the barrier, and he's in the gravel. Daniel Hunt, though, making me eat my words, and he's retaking the race lead because, well, he's been the one that hasn't put it in the barrier, so great stuff from him. However, John Sylvester, look at how quick that Platinum Racing Team MX5 is. He basically just put the car into a different gear and drove on to the back of Daniel Hunt, losing a bit of momentum though as they run their way through the next couple of corners. Obviously you don't want to run too close to the car in front. This is a very saucy fight here. We've got the top 5, Daniel Hunt, John Sylvester, Tom Griffiths, Ewan Bramer up 4 places from the initial getaway, Miles Owens as well, the top 5, and they are separated by absolutely nothing. It's all aboard the Hunt Express.
It is with John Sylvester, Griffiths, Ewan Bramer, Miles Owens there. Great run out. Race 1 for the PRT boys. 3 of their guys are currently sitting in the top 5 at the moment. They're, of course, second in the team championship at the moment as well. And this will do themselves an absolute world of good. John Sylvester goes on the defence there from Tom Griffiths behind him. Griffiths trying to make that way through. Can't. He's kind of stuck in a sandwich. Ralph Cullen and Elise Main here as well, with also Darryl Wright currently in the front with a safeguard by result as well. Wright's gone round.
Oh.
Darryl Wright's gone.
As well.
Yeah.
Huge. That is, I swear we see the same bit of damage pretty much every week. Obviously that car is a little bit more on the worse end. The front left is obviously kinked in a little bit. The toe is not great. He's back to the pit lane, is Darryl Wright. A very poor start to his affairs here for yet another round. The UkSimracers MX5s. There's a move for the race lead. Daniel Hunt forced to go defensive. They're too wide, too deep as they run their way through the next left-hander. Then, of course, the swing through the S's and then into the 90-degree left-hander of turn number 9. John Sylvester not able to find a way through, and already we're starting to see that this circuit is a bit of a difficulty to overtake.
Yeah, it is. Gainers and losers. You see PPG down 10. Jamie Ayres down 17 places there. Up 9 is Mick Barry. Barry's doing an absolute flyer at the moment. Andy Littler looks like he may have been off as well. I think that was actually Jordan Serrett in the background there going off at turn 9. Turn 9 to be the flashpoint, but we did say that coming through. Obviously turn 6, 7 and 8. Mick Barry, just as I say, he's doing so well. He's there. So unfortunately, now Barry has joined the the list of
Mick Barrier.
Yeah, nice. There we go. Like that. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Proud of yourself.
I'm gonna write that one down. Yeah.
There we go. So it's all looking a little bit spicy currently at the moment here, but it is your top 5 on your screen with Miles Owens at the back, Daniel Hunt at the front, and then Carl Jacklett wrapped up in 6, up 4 places there as well. So an absolutely stellar start to the evening for the Platinum Racing boys. And Ewan Bramer is up 4 places. We said 8th didn't do it justice, Zach. Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with it, and you could tell that initial getaway was perfect. Ewan Bramer talking in qualifying about cold tyres. Well, they didn't slow him down too much off the initial getaway of the start. Up 4 places already. Same too as Carl Jacklett. Ralph Cullinan is up 7 places as well. So he's doing a really, really good job up into 8th place, obviously. So there he is. He's trying to make it 1 more. He's trying to close in on the back of Arnaud Chagnon. He's about 2 seconds to close in, but definitely more difficult things have been done. But Chagnon, I have to say, Chagnon, for you know, for an AM, he's doing so well, even competing amongst some of the pros. There's the move for the race lead, though. John Sylvester now looking to the inside of what will be turn number 1. Daniel Hunt has been overtaken both on the inside and now the outside of turn number 1. The Platinum Racing Team MX5 worked his way ahead. The up and under, though, goes the way of Daniel Hunt. He looks to try and make his way to the outside of the next chicane of turn 2. Gives him the inside for 3. So close to contact between the pair of them. But John Sylvester hangs on.
Yeah, he does currently at the moment there with E1 Bramer, Miles Owens at the back end of this queue. Of course, trying to close down on Tom Griffiths is kind of a PRT sandwich at the moment, as we're looking at John Sylvester out in front with Daniel Hunt, Tom Griffiths behind him as well. And this is what Griffiths is seeing currently at this moment in time there. The car's wrapped up right behind him is the car of E1 Bramer. Didn't have a great qualifying, but making it up for race 1, which is absolutely unbelievable work from him.
Thank you for that. That was panic. Cheers, guys. Yeah, that camera angle always gives me the shivers. Inside line, though, of course, he's trying to work his way through. They continue to go side by side. Has another look into the final corner. The Platinum Racing Team MX5 goes nearly off the circuit, and now, there we go. Squeezing his way through the middle. There's contact. Oh, my goodness me. One's into the barrier. The other one's into the side of him. The other one's darted off to the other side of the circuit. I have to say, James, they have just broken the golden rule of racing. Don't smack into your teammate.
Oh, Miles Owens, Tom Griffiths and E1 Bramer have just ruined, and also Carl Jacquelet, they have just managed to ruin what was going to be a massive points haul for the guys from PRT, and it all stemmed from the fact that Miles Owens tried to go through the middle of Griffiths and Bramer, and unfortunately it just did not work. That is huge for them, because that's allowed Pete Van Gaal and Steve Edward both to get back up into above them in positions.
100%. You know, after going into Belle Isle, Platinum Racing Team were behind. Out of Belle Isle, they were also coming in, you know, not having the best of runs versus Momo, and they needed to improve that. You can see there, Steve Hefford working his way with Ewan Bramer, also Pete Van Gaal in the mix as well. So the Momo boys have got to be careful, because they've been given this on a silver platter. Maybe it's not the points haul they would have wanted, but it's a points haul that is going to gain them some points relative to the Platinum Racing Team boys, which, well, the veterans know exactly how to do. Platinum Racing Team have thrown away a very good opportunity in the form of, you know, pretty much commanding the top flight of positions. Maybe not leading the way yet. They could have if they worked well and they played their cards right, but yeah, that is, yeah, not great. We're going to take another look as to how it happens. You can see swinging onto the outside, goes a little bit wide. Miles Owens is like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to get in on this. The car on the outside, though, just a little bit, you know, too he gets to come back. And then, because of obviously he's been sort of pitted, I think it's called, you know, you tag to your rear left, your car spins around, and you're a bullet, and you go straight into it. Right on board with Carl Jacquelet. Have a look. Smoke he can't see, bang. There is nothing. Absolutely nothing that Jacquelet can do in that situation. No,
unfortunately there as well. Now we're on the back end of Ralph Cullinan, who with Elise Main, and after that accident, Cullinan's actually sitting in 3rd place currently, and Main is now just gone through. But it is Main and Cullinan on this run down into turn 6. Main on the right-hand side with the pink roll bars, Cullinan with the green. Main goes through, but that's allowed Ralph Cullinan to move up 11 places.
It's allowed Elise Main onto the podium as well, which is going to be massive for Elise if she can, you know, stay up there for the remainder of this race. Also for Ralph Cullinan, pretty much for any of these guys in the mix. Elise Main, Ralph Cullinan, Arlen Chenier and Charles Kellerman. If these guys get a podium, that is going to mean the world to them to compete that high. It's a 4-way fight now for 3rd place. Elise Main, Cullinan, Sean Yunier and Charles Kellerman all in the mix. A bit of a breakaway because Daniel Hunt and John Sylvester are doing their own thing in the fight for the lead. But this, a 4-way fight for the podium positions, and all 4 of them want this so dearly.
The interesting thing is, all of the 3 that were involved in that incident, Griffiths, Bramer and Owens, are still running. They're still on track. They haven't gone in. It just goes to show how much the bump this MX5 can take. Jacquelet didn't. Littler, Haddington, Wright and Barry, or unfortunately we saw have been terminal damage to them. But the likes of Bramer is coming through in a very half car with, there's Griffiths, there's Bramer and there's Owens. Owens has got the car that looks the best currently out of the 3. Oh no! Looks like the 2 Momo boys have come to contact. because they're now really slow out in front currently at this moment in time. And Steve Hefford is in 7th place. Pete Van Gool's gone down all the way down into 10th behind Ewan Bramer and Tom Griffiths.
Huge for them. I mean, we saw it. They were fighting tooth and nail for that position, and at some point it was going to come to blows. And well, yeah, the MX5s obviously can take a bit of a hit, as you said, and we see the front bumper get ripped off quite often in the championship so far. So yeah, it's not too big of a surprise. Fortunately, their geometry or anything hasn't really been too displaced. The MX5 is not a car that relies heavily on its bumper for aerodynamics or anything like that. So as long as the suspension's good, as long as the steering's good, you're pretty much good to go. And it's mainly just a bit of cosmetic damage. Obviously, the engine's going to run colder. The car's going to be a bit more draggy, but other than that, you are a-okay to continue on. And that's exactly what they've got to do, because they've got to get any points that they possibly can, and they know that if they play their cards right, things might come back into them. There's the inside line for one of the Momo boys and going their way through. Also, the Platinum Racing Team boys in the background as well, fighting over 10th place. Miles Owens moves his way ahead of Ewan Bramer, but you know, these guys know that if they play their cards right and stay on circuit, things like what happened between Pete Van Gool and Steve Hefford can work back into their favour, and they can pick up just that couple more points, which I think is sheer willpower and a very good mindset to have.
Yeah, it's interesting to know that his teammates, the Momo boys obviously had an incident there with Hefford and Van Gool, same team. Owens and Bramer, same team. It's like the two people at the top of the team championships are looking to try and give it to the other team, which it seems a very bizarre concept. You would have thought they would have tried to keep it nice and clean, but that has resulted in Elise Main in 3rd place there, with Ralph Cullen and Arnold Chonier, the leader of the AMs, and Charles Kellerman tucked up right behind in 6th place.
As I said, Arnold Chonier has really impressed me this season. He's been so quick, so good, and that continues today. And if he can get an overall podium, that is going to be so good. Not only for his championship, because the AM scores and the pro scores are not separate. So Arnold Chonier, they're up in 5th place versus the 2nd place car in the AMs of Sirit down in 13th. That is a huge points gain. That is really going to help him. Van Gool and Hefford swap places once more, as you can see on the time and tower. The Momo boys swap places once more, which, is it hindering them? Is it helping them? Probably on the former, but we cut our attention back to this fight here, and it is sensational. You can tell in the way that Main is driving that car, she is making it as wide as possible, because she's got 3 cars that want it just as much as her in the background. Yeah,
they're just about to try and swap for the lead. Sylvester's not gonna, I don't think he's gonna make it through. He didn't this time, but that gap had come down literally to side by side. Hunt is off. Sylvester's almost followed him off as well. He's got the run now. Sylvester on the right for Platinum Racing. Daniel Hunt for DOF Reality on the left in the red and white here as we go round turn 12, turn 11 through turn 12, and it is John Sylvester out in front who's going to take the white flag lap this time around here, and it should be, yes, the white flag will be out, and now they're on the last lap, and it's side by side going down into turn 1 currently at the moment. Daniel Hunt looks like he's got the run here as he's going down to under the bridge. Who's going to make it through? Sylvester. Hunt's going to run him around the outside. Oh, he's still managed to hold on. He's going to have the inside for 2, of course, and it is still Daniel Hunt, but that was very, very close.
That is a different beast. Daniel Hunt, as soon as the tension rises up, he steps up to the occasion. He does not miss his shot at all. Daniel Hunt now leads. He's got about 2/3 of the lap left to go. John Sylvester, though, he is desperate. He does not want this opportunity to slip away. He is so close, and now is trying his absolute best to put as much pressure as possible onto Daniel Hunt. They'll go into the quick flick to the left-hander of turn number 5. There's no way through on that particular occasion. Also through 6, 7, and 8, there's no way through. Potentially, if you're brave enough on the brakes into 9, you might be able to find a way through, but it's all about the exit contact. Daniel Hunt gets a bit of a boost at the apex. All that's going to do is hinder John Sylvester's run. I have to say, with only a handful of corners left to go, unless Daniel Hunt makes a dramatic mistake, it's his to lose.
Yeah, I think it's going to be here. Looks like possibly Elise Main could get 3rd place, but it is Daniel Hunt going to come across the line. He's going to take the victory in race 1. John Sylvester behind. What is happening here with Elise Main currently at the moment? Elise Main is going to get it. Is Ralph Cullinan going to hold on, or is he going to lose that place to Arnold Chonier? Elise Main's going to come across the line in 3rd place. There you go. Cullinan, Chonier, Kellerman, all the way within 1 line. How is it working out for Steve Hefford? I think he's got for Pete Van Gool has got him. Yeah, PVG got him, then Hefford, then Owens and Griffiths and Bramer, and then Jamie Ayres all the way down in 12th place overall. But what an absolute epic race. And as you see there, it looked like people didn't want that victory there, Zach. They, you know, for PRT, I think that's massive. I think they really, really did not do themselves any favours whatsoever.
Yeah, very British, you know, no, after you, please, no, after you go first. It seems that that's what the case. Obviously, most of them aren't British at all, you know, are quite a heavy Dutch contingent and things like that, but they just didn't want to. They were just like, no, please, take the championship lead, take some points away from us. No, it's fine, absolutely not. No, we're the ones that, sorry. Yeah, I don't know what was going on, but both teams a little bit scrappy, and yeah, unfortunately, that is how the cookie crumbles. But very well done to Daniel Hunt, very well done to John Sylvester. Elise Main, though, well done. P3.
Absolutely stellar job. Here are your standings. Daniel Hunt in first, John Sylvester second, Elise Main third, Ralph Cullinan fourth, Arnold Chonier fifth, Charles Kellerman sixth, Pete Van Gaal seventh, Steve Hefford eighth, Miles Owens ninth, Tom Griffiths 10th, Ewan Bramer 11th, Jamie Ayres 12th, Jordan Serrett 13th, Sir Alan Toon 14th, Steve Hansford 15th, Carl Jacklett 16th, Andy Littler 17th, Jason Hannington down in 18th with Darryl Wright and Mick Barry bringing up the rear. Now, we did say we would bring you the championship standings currently at this moment in time, as they do stand in the pros. It is Daniel. Whoa, hold up. What are you doing? There we go. Daniel Hunt is out in front on 509 points. John Sylvester in second on 499. Tom Griffiths in third on 498. Pete Van Gaal in fourth on 490. Jamie Ayres 477. Ewan Bramer up 4 on 412. Steve Hefford in seventh. Charles Kellerman 8th. Carl Jacklett 9th. Ralph Cullinan 10th. Miles Owens 11th. Elise Main 12th. Martin Sampson 13th. And Darren McLean down in 14th. Now in the AMs, it is Arnold Chonier out in front on 310. Andy Littler 273. Darryl Wright 271. They're your top three. It is very close at the moment. Jordan Serrett in fourth. Steve Hansford fifth. Jason Hannington sixth. Mick Barry seventh. Anthony Jacobson eighth. And Sir Alan Toon down in ninth place. Now, in the team championship, it is Momo out in front on 1723 with Platinum 1517, and then Optical Red on 776. Results Clothing 614 with Optical Green on 610. Air Smart Racing on 574. DOF Reality SimRacers Studios on 509. And Work Guard by Result on 425. So there we go. That is the current standings. We've got about 3 minutes left of warm-up here, Zach. And, well, interesting race one overall.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, lap one, interesting narrative. Jamie Ayres, fantastic initial getaway. Messed it up about a third of the lap later on as well, going into, obviously, through turn 5, 6, 7, 8. Found himself in the runoff area just on the exit of turn number 9. Big moment for him, big moment for his championship, but Daniel Hunt stepped up to the occasion. He rised up and, well, he definitely did deliver after losing pole position. Able to hang on from John Sylvester. Let's not forget, they are in direct competition in the championship. And obviously, Daniel Hunt was able to extend his lead just a little bit. It's so incredibly close in that top 5 fight. I'm loving it, and it just means that each and every single race from here to the end of the season means so much. So all I have to say is bring on race 2.
Yeah, we're not very far away there. There are some cars out on practice at the moment. Darryl Wright, of course, was involved in, well, that, basically. He did that, but then went into the wall. Oh, and Carl Jacklett's come along as well. So, there we go.
Don't want to leave him lonely.
No, you clearly don't. It's like synchronised spinning going on here in the UK SimRacers on a Tuesday evening, but there we go.
How many sports we got here at Sandown? We got horse riding, motor racing, and now synchronised acrobatics. It's great.
Well, yes.
It's an Olympic Park.
You could almost go to the theatre and watch some ballet with the MX5 spinning on the outside there. That would be an interesting one.
Not got a lot of power, but they can still spin the wheels. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they definitely can. 1 minute 20 left here. Hopefully these guys are going to have a bit better of a race too for Bramer, Griffiths, Owens and Carl Jacklett. Of course, Jamie Ayres didn't have a great one either. PVG, another one that lost time over race 1. Zach, it was all got a little bit scrappy from their point of view.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, It could have been better, let's put it that way. I mean, it wasn't a complete write-off of a race. They were still able to secure some points inside the top 10 and, you know, at least get to the checkered flag, run with their damage. You know, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But it could have been so much better. With Platinum, they were, you know, very secure. You know, second, third, fourth in that fight. 5 cars for the lead. They had 3 cars fighting up there. That is huge, big points, particularly on a day, I must say, where Momo are struggling a little bit. PVG, Steve Heffer, they didn't quite have the pace really over the course of race 1. They need to step up a little bit, bring some points in, and hope. And they can't rely on Platinum having a poor race and throwing things away. They need to step up, and they need to be able to obviously get themselves back into contention, which I'm sure they can do because the reverse grid format allows for that to put them in that track position. At the worst, they can at least try to defend from the PRT boys. But for sure, Platinum are going to be kicking themselves and saying, boys, we need to do better. We could have scored so much better in that race. But the good news is the position that they were in, they had the pace, they had the consistency, scrape out a few mistakes, and boom, they are laughing.
Yeah, Steve Haddington is in first place. Andy Littler second. Carl Jacklett third. Steve Hansford fourth. Sir Alan Toome fifth. Jordan Surratt sixth. Jamie Ayres seventh. Ewan Bramer eighth. Tom Griffiths ninth. Miles Owens 10th. Steve Everton 11th. And Pete Van Gaal down in 12th place. Charles Kellerman 13th. Arnold Chonier 14th. Ralph Cullen 15th. Elise Main 16th. John Sylvester 17th. Daniel Hunt 18th. Darrell Wright and Mick Barry are 19th and 20th place. So it is going to be the grid man of Jason Haddington for Air Smart Racing there as well. How is he going to cope with being on pole position? Of course, we have got 5 AMs in the top 6. So that's going to be an interesting one as well as we wait for Sean Yoye and Mick Barry to get onto track. 5 AMs in the top 6 is not going to be easy for them pros to come through later on.
It is not, and obviously they're all getting some saucy looks at what could be some really good points. So like I said earlier, it's going to be a good one. Here we go.
Lights are coming on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are away. Lots of smoke coming off these MX5s as they go running down into turn 1 here at Sandown. And currently it's Andy Littler who's got the jump on Jason Haddington. There are the rest of the cars all coming in. Haddington goes in through. He makes his way through as well. He goes round, unfortunately, for Haddington. For the Air Smart Racing, drops down the order. Ewan Bramer, they're in the mix here as well. Carl Jacklett, Andy Littler, it is Jacklett out in front. Ewan Bramer is making his way up into 6th place currently at the moment. Oh, big check up there from the green Steve Hansford, and that allowed Tom Griffiths to unfortunately check up there, backing up all the entire field. And currently Ewan Bramer is right in front of Tom Griffiths, and Miles Owens is right behind him. Carl Jacklett there as well. Unlucky for Jason Haddington.
Yeah, absolutely. But unfortunately, cold tyres, whatever it was, got the better of him. Fight for now the lead. Jamie Ayres has catapulted himself up now into 2nd place. Let's see if he can get through this sequence of corners. You can definitely tell, been a bit more cautious on this way through. Side by side in the background as well as Ewan Bramer ticks off yet another place. He's up past Jordan Surratt up into 4th. Make that 3rd as Andy Littler goes a little bit wide. Invites the Dutchman up into 3rd place. Beautiful start from both Ayres and both Bramer. They are capitalising, and you can tell they are on a redemption race here today.
Yeah, Miles Owens just about to make his way through from Jordan Surratt there with PVG and Steve Hefford behind him. The winners though, Daniel Hunt is in up 7 into 11th, and John Sylvester is still down in 15th place. Not a massive gain. He gained 2 from that lead lap, and currently all the way down in 15th. So it's getting going to be interesting to see how them guys come through the field.
Absolutely, side by side as well. Jamie Ayres takes the race lead at the hands of Carl Jacklett. Ewan Bramer wants to make it now demoted down to 3rd place for Carl Jacklett. He's got to be a bit more patient than Jamie Ayres. He's not quite able to do it immediately, but you can definitely tell that he does not want to wait around. He wants to get through, and he wants to get after Jamie Ayres for the lead of this race. It's been a beautiful start, of course, but yeah, John Sylvester down in 15th. He's not capitalised off the start enough. People are going to start to spread out. He's going to make it a much harder time of himself if he wants to fight his way through the field now, because as I said, people spread out, people settle into this race, and they are going to be a lot more difficult to overtake. John Sylvester has to get a move on as soon as possible. There is very, very wide and very, very good apex from Ewan Bramer. Nearly found himself looking to the inside of Jacklet, but the gap just closed.
Yeah, he did, and then got a big old slide on as he come out of that turn 9. Managed to keep the car under control, but he is all over the back of Carl Jacklet at the moment. Andy Littler's just gone round with Griffiths as well. Littler and Griffiths, I'm wondering how much contact there was involved in that. Hansford has also gone off, so Steve Hansford may have been involved in that one at the same time. That's released Miles Owens up into 12th, John Sylvester up into 9th currently, and Daniel Hunt climbing all over with Steve Hefford, and he's just gone past Steve Hefford down onto that run down into turn 1 as well. That looked a bit of an interesting one from Tom Griffiths at the same time there, Zach, so it looked like there may have been contact with Steve Hansford all at the same time.
Absolutely, that was, not great, but Daniel Hunt really impressing. So too, I have to say, is Elise Main. She's doing really, really well. Singing her praises, of course, and, well, up 10 places into 6th place and maybe arguably looking for more. Is she ever going to be satisfied? Well, I'm sure we'll find out, but she's having a very good day in the office, let's put it that way. Ewan Bramer now past Carl Jacklet, looking to the outside. They're going to continue to go side by side. That's through the sweeper of turn number 5. Around the outside goes the Dutchman. He's now into 2nd place. 1.4 seconds now to Jamie Ayres. He's got his work cut out to do. Mistakes like that, though, are not going to help, are going to stall his progress. Carl Jacklet might be looking for the counter-attack.
Yeah, if he keeps making mistakes like that, Ewan Bramer, you are going to be under attack, unfortunately, and Carl Jacklet there will get you back. So you've got to be careful on what they're going to be able to do here, but it is Ewan Bramer. Looks like he's now going to open up the gates and clear off away from Carl Jacklet. John Sylvester is battling away with Charles Kellerman down in 8th and 9th at the moment. John Sylvester up 8 places. Darryl Wright is up 9, Main up 10, and Daniel Hunt is up 14 places there, Zach. One of the biggest gainers on track at the moment.
Beautiful stuff, and he's doing what John Sylvester should have done. I mean, fair enough, Sylvester's now up to 9th place. I don't know how he's catapulted himself up 6 places that quick, but he has, so fair play to him. But Daniel Hunt, everyone's close, everyone's panicky. If you're confident, if you're decisive, and if you're quick, you're able to carve your way through the field. That's exactly what Daniel Hunt's done. He's put himself in a very good position. Bit of a gap up to Carl Jacklet if he wants to score any podiums for race number 2, but he's doing himself a lot of favours. Winning race 1, going all the way down to P18. P4 is a very good result if he can hang on to it, but he's brought Steve Hefford with him. Elise Main's also looming in the background in P6 also. There are a lot of contenders here tonight, and it's not just going to be Daniel Hunt who, it's not the end of the road for him. Let's say that much, because he's up there in P4, but you can see now John Sylvester, he's in the zone, and he's picking them off one by one.
Well, one of the man that's not going to be in contention is PVG. Unfortunately, Pete Van Gaal is all the way down in 16th place. He went off track there. Mick Barry has had an incident, so is Jordan Surratt and Andy Littler. They are all down at the back end of the order, 17th, 16th and 15th place there. So it looks like those guys have had a bit of a rough night here in race 2 as we've got 9 minutes remaining. John Sylvester right up behind Ralph Cullinan, and I don't think this is going to be long here. We've seen how quick Sylvester is. He's made his way through. Was he just being very patient, though, Zach? Because he waited until the cars got a little bit more spread out, and he just seems to be picking them off one by one at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cleaner way to do things. Obviously, you're less likely to get into a bit of contact if it's just a 1v1 as opposed to a 1v19 where everyone's around you. It's just a war zone. Fair play in that regard. But now, rather than only being a few cars off the back of, say, Daniel Hunt or whoever, he's now a few seconds off the back of him. Because people have spread out, he's taken his time, which fair enough, as I said, it's a more clean way to get things done. But it has meant that if he doesn't act quickly, he might lose the opportunity and might lose some points relative to Daniel Hunt. He sends Ralph Cullinan a little bit wide and tarnishes his momentum through the sweepers, but no way through on that particular occasion, because into turn 9, not really an overtaken opportunity. But John Sylvester, he's definitely playing the clever game in the sense that he's quick enough to pick them off one by one. It's just a case that Daniel Hunt got through them so much quicker and has given himself that security buffer, if you like, to say, yeah, I've got enough of a gap, so much so that by the time that, John Sylvester has made his way through the traffic, we're close to the end of the race. So, yeah, I'd say Daniel Hunt definitely in control. Well, I guess you could say that, as opposed to Ewan Bramer and Jamie Ayres, who are swapping over control at the lead of the race. They, again, as I say, really impressive and season their opportunity for race 2.
Yeah, Ewan Bramer there, unfortunately, obviously didn't have a great race 1 there as well. Evening, Jez, how are you? Welcome in. Toxic Munchkin, are these fixed or open setups? Well, there we go. There's a question for you. I believe they are open setups. If I am not,
I'd say so.
yes, they are. If I'm not mistaken, they are open setups. So Ewan Braymer, they're now out in front with Jamie Ayres. Pete Van Gool has just gone past Jordan Serrett. That's all the way down in 16th and 15th place, respectively. Ralph Cullen's got about a half-second gap. Tom Griffiths has got 3 tenths over the car there as well. So there's little pockets, but this is your lead battle, and they have been swapping backwards and forwards. So it's interesting to see what happens now. Can Ewan Braymer hold on to this, do we think, Zach? Or is he going to put himself in somewhat precarious position, because he had made mistakes tonight? I think that's the thing. If his race 1 was clean, it'd be all right. His race 2, he's had a bit of a tank slapper on every now and then as well. So he's got to keep it clean, hasn't he?
Yeah, Ewan Braymer, I think, you know, first or second, either way, it's a good result for him. But Jamie Ayres, he's hungry. You know, he is going to give absolutely everything. I think Ewan Braymer's got to be saying, you know what, yeah, you'll be back. And he's really now already feeling the pressure. In towards turn number 1, he's going slightly defensive. Jamie Ayres not quite able to go the long way round, but he's got the up and under. Now the switch back, it'll be the outside going into turn number 2. And no way through, he has to tuck back into situ, but once again the up and under. It's all about exits, it's all about momentum, and if you can get an overlap, chances are the other car will back out. So you do have to be a little bit careful, but they also have to be mindful. Yes, they're fighting for the lead, yes, they both want this win, but Carl Jacklett, Daniel Hunt, less than 2 seconds behind. As soon as they start battling, as soon as they ruin their own momentum, 2 seconds is not a lot of time to bring them back into the fray.
No, it's not. It's not at all. I think that's the problem, though, when you're fighting away like they are. You're not really savvy to what's going on or the cars behind you. So you don't really see the close. Jamie Ayres might see it more than Ewan Braymer, because he's now back out, well, it's back out to 2.3 currently at the moment. I think Jacklett is just about to get overtaken by Daniel Hunt. Hunt's going to run it in deep into 11. He's got the job done there as well. Now he's going to set on his way, right? So even though the gap's out at 2.8, we've still got 5 minutes remaining, and these guys up front have got to be careful of this.
They do indeed. You know, not long left to go, but you know, it's that thing. Weighing up your chances here, because yes, Jamie Ayres in his head, he's not got long left to actually make this move. Only 5 minutes left on the clock, but also he has got to be careful of those in behind. How hard does he want to fight for it? It's that mental battle that you have to go with, that conflict inside your head. How aggressive do I be? How much do I throw myself at this? What are the risks? What are the rewards? How long have I got left in the race? Can I do it? And that is always circulating through a driver's mind, while they're also trying to not only fight the battle, but also actually get around the circuit itself. His PVG versus Steve Hansford. This is for P14. Pete Van Gool able to get himself ahead. I have to say, as good as PVG is, today has really not been his day.
No, definitely not. I got full agreement there as well. He went off in race 2, dropped him all the way down to, well, where he is now, minus a couple of more positions as well beyond that. But this is your front 2 battle, 4:18 on the clock here. Daniel Hunt, 2.8, not really making that impression that we thought so far, Zach. He's still out at 2.7 seconds now, just dropped back out 2.9. So it could just be these two fighting for the remainder of this race.
Could well be. Obviously, Daniel Hunt getting his way through on Carl Jacklett. Cost him a little bit of time. I suspect Jamie Ayres is just keeping Ewan Braymer on his toes, making him look in his mirrors, and we might well see a last lap charge because, well, if you do it on the last lap and you cross the line, there's no other laps for him to counterattack. It sounds so obvious. However, mistakes like that might force the hand of Jamie Ayres to do it a bit earlier. Now to the outside of turn number 2. No way through. Ewan Braymer controls the corner. And I have to say, Jamie Ayres, he's really not being that aggressive. Surely, if he really desperately wanted that race lead now, he'd have sent it a bit harder into turn 2, would he not?
Yeah. But then again, I suppose from Ayres' point of view, when you're looking forward and you're seeing Braymer make mistakes as he has done, and he is he waiting for that mistake? Does he think he might not want to get involved if Braymer does make a race-ending mistake as such?
I mean, yeah, it's that thing. You've got to keep a bit of a gap just so you can react, because Ewan Braymer, his He's out driving that car. He is driving that car way too hard for the limits, and you can see it. There are mistakes creeping through the cracks. Now into the final couple of corners, obviously not on of the total race, but into the final couple of corners of the track to round off yet another lap. Time is ticking down, and with each lap gone, it's one less lap Ewan Bramer has to worry about in terms of defending, but it's one less lap that Jamie Ayres has to in actually getting in front. He's in the slipstream, now in towards turn number 1, once again looks to the left-hand side. He's going to be aggressive now. He's got the overlap. If he doesn't take the race lead here, something is going on. But there we go, into the braking zone. It's a very quick corner in all fairness. Jamie Ayres, he's done it on the outside. He's now done it on the inside into the race lead. And Ewan Bramer has got no answer to it into turn number 2. There we go, Jamie Ayres. I think he was just waiting for one of those high percentage chance moves. He didn't want to risk it sort of 60-40. He wanted an 80-20 chance that he was going to pull it off. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I think that was probably, to be honest with you, Zach, I think that was sensible. He used what part of the circuit he had to make that overtake. Don't get me wrong, Bramer is now looking at coming back on this run down into turn 6 here with 7, 8 and 9 as well. Bramer is on the outside. It's going to take a brave man to run it round there. Is he going to be able to hold it on track, or is this going to be it currently at the moment? Ayres is taken to the grass. Is Bramer going to stop it? He's not.
Oh, and the barrier 2. That's even worse. That's salt in the wound. That's Ewan Bramer from leading going on to this lap. Now off the podium and maybe out to the back end of the top 5 as well. Off in the background as well is Steve Hefford. Let's not forget that. Let's mention that so he doesn't get away with it. Ewan Bramer's off, but so too is Steve Hefford. Now Jamie Ayres, it's his race to lose. Daniel Hunt has had an off as well. Championship leader, worked his way up into second, has had an off through the final corner, James.
Yeah, now he's going down. That all them gains he's now made has gone down to 11. Don't get me wrong, it's still an absolutely extraordinary gain as we're on the final lap of the race here. Carl Jacklett, and the man here who started down in 18th has got the opportunity to take second. John Sylvester. Didn't see much of him, Zach. Went about his business one car at a time.
Fair play. Honestly, that's pretty much been John Sylvester's season, sort of in a nutshell. You know, he's not really been like necessarily a stand-up driver. This is no offense to him, by the way. He is a sensational driver, but he's been sort of a dark horse in the season so far. He's been waiting for his opportunities. He's got the seconds, he's got the thirds, he's chilling, he's getting all the points that he needs. He's only taken 1 win so far this season, and that is less than everyone inside the top 6. That is brilliant stuff. And now he is going to make it second place to the outside of turn number 5. Very difficult way round, as you can see that second place is very much defending this as hard as he possibly can. Carl Jacklett, but John Sylvester is giving it absolutely everything. But John Sylvester, he's quiet, he's timid, he will capitalise on anything that you throw his way. He's done exactly that, and fair play to him. I didn't think it, but he's worked his way up now into third.
Yeah, Jamie Ayres is going to come across the line and take that victory. It is going to be Carl Jacklett's just got to hug the inside, not allow Sylvester through. And it is Jacklett, Sylvester, Bramer, Hefford, Ralph Cullinan, Charles Kellerman, and Daniel Hunt. That, well, was a very, very interesting race in general. And as I said, it was almost like I had a Christmas crystal ball there with Ewan Bramer. I said he looked like he was overdriving. He said he looked like he was going to make a mistake. He did exactly that.
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, he wanted it dearly, right? There was a lot on the line. The redemption for race 1. If he was able to come and make a statement like that in race 2 and take the win, brilliant stuff. It had boosted his confidence. But the pressure that Jamie Ayres put on him was relentless. And that speaks a lot about how good of a driver Jamie Ayres is to play the psychological game. We saw he wasn't that aggressive. He went for easy moves, quote unquote. I mean, no move is going to be easy against Ewan Bramer, let's put it that way, but he went for easier moves. He didn't go for the high risk ones. He went for, I've got a good run down the pitch straight, I'll go for it into turn number 1. But he was sat right up the rear end of Ewan Bramer for so long, so much so that Bramer started to doubt himself, and that pressure then obviously seeped through the cracks and, well, broke him apart. He's still got 4th place, still a fantastic result, but it could have been more, and that's Jamie Ayres taking the helm for Momo.
Yeah, it's Jamie Ayres out in front, Carl Jacklett 2nd, John Sylvester 3rd, Ewan Bramer 4th, Steve Hefford 5th, Ralph Cullinan 6th, Charles Kellerman 7th, Daniel Hunt 8th, Elise Main at 9th, Darryl Wright 10th, Miles Owens 11th, Tom Griffiths 12th, Pete Van Gaal 13th. So Alan Toon, I want to give a shout out to Alan. He's got 2 podiums this evening, a 3rd in race 1 and a 2nd in race 2. So a stellar job there for Alan Toon. Steve Hansford down in 15th, Jordan Serrett 16th, Andy Littler 17th, Arnold Chagnon down in 18th place, and Mick Barry and Jason Haddington. Now I believe there is an issue with Jason Anderson. He is in track, and we will discuss that when we come back, guys. And as per normal, we'll be right back after this short break. Good evening and welcome back to the UkSimracers MX5 Season 1 Round 5 from Australia and Sandown. You've still got myself, James Parfitt, and Zach Sweeney in the booth with you here as well. Now, we're going to try and grab hold of Steve Hefford. Steve popped in for a chat earlier on. So, Steve's going to come and have a quick chat with us between race 2 and race 3. Good evening, Steve. How are you, sir?
Oh, not brilliant. Not brilliant. I've done 0 practice this week, but yeah, I'm in quite a bit of pain this week, so I've literally left it till the last minute to come in, and I think it shows.
Yeah, I don't know if you're the only one though, no, but because there's been some quite interesting.
Oh yeah, there's been some. Yeah, there has. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I want to check. So, did you and Pete ever coming together in the last race?
No, Pete. Pete was quite a way in front of me actually, and I looked up and I saw him. He was way off the track at the apex, and he changed down and broke, and his gear never changed down. So without the gear change, in addition to the braking, he was going to run up the arse end of the guy in front. So he made to the grass to try and miss him, I think, which just made matters worse, I think.
Right, because I did wonder why all of a sudden you two were very slow together there. Obviously, we saw the two PRT boys having a coming together with Tom Griffiths. So that was quite an interesting one. Overall, it's going to be tough race 3 and race 4, right? As you said, 0 practice. It's a very, what we perceived would be a simple circuit, but it really kind of isn't, is it?
No, it's not. It's for what it is, really. We've only done it once before. When it first came out was the beginning of last year, and that's the only time we've been here, you know. And I wasn't a great fan, to be honest. But then when I started driving it, I thought, oh, it's not that bad actually. Even though it's got long draft straights and what have you, it's got some quite interesting corners, and the curbs can really come into effect, you know. Some curbs that you can sort of take, and others that you need to stay away from. But it's quite technical really. It's just short of some horses in the middle, we think. Yeah,
that's it. Well, it was sort of purposely built around the outside of a racecourse. So, it's going to be an interesting one to hear as well. What do we think, as we just watched Carl Jacklet go around at the last corner, what are we thinking for race 3 and 4, Steve? What's your chances?
Well, I've not had a blistering night, but to be fair, I've been in the top sort of, I think that was top 5, I was in 8th on race 1 maybe, or something like that, despite a spin, but just got to finish all 4 races here tonight, I think, because there's so many people have spun. So I think, if you can manage to finish all 4 races here more than usual, I think you'll have a decent-ish night.
Awesome stuff. Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining us there. I will put you back in with the Momo boys, and I'll catch up with you soon, mate.
Okay, cheers, guys.
Take care.
Take it easy.
There we go. Steve Hefford there coming into the booth. Of course, we are going to be advancing the session in the next few minutes, guys, so don't panic. We're not going to be sitting here watching 15 minutes of practice. Miles Owens, bad luck again in the second race. Yeah, it doesn't help that your teammate wanted to help you along in the first race either. I thought you were in the same chat room there, Miles. You might have had a little bit of a conversation, maybe. I'll tell you what we'll do, actually. Let's bring Miles Owens down into the booth. Miles, good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, not bad, you?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. You guys are in the same chat room, right?
I'm only in with Platinum.
Oh, you're in with the Platinum, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what happened in race 1?
Right, so it was quite slow out the last corner, I think, and then I was second gear. I got the launch, and my plan was I was going to push my teammate, but my teammate went wide, and I couldn't do it. And by the time I'd slowed down, it was already too late. So it's my fault. I've learnt from it. I won't do it again.
First rule of racing: don't take out your teammate, Miles.
Well, technically, I didn't take my teammate out. I took Tom out, and Tom hit my teammate. So it wasn't me who did it. But yeah. Lesson learned. Yeah.
Okay.
But, you got to make mistakes to learn from them. So.
Yeah, I just thought that kind of mistake might have been a bit different. But look, it looks like you are going to grid it up. So we'll catch up with you a little bit later on there, mate. All right.
All right, cheers, mate. And then the second race, Pete Van Gogh. Give me how's your father up the bum?
All right, mate. Well, enjoy this one because you're on the grid.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Bye.
Good luck, and catch you later.
Bye. There we go. We're quickly grabbing Miles Owens while they are gridded up here, ready to go. So stay tuned for race 3. Darrell Wright will be on pole. Jordan Surratt second. Elise Main third. Andy Littler fourth. For Alan Toon fifth. Pete Van Gogh sixth. Carl Jacklett seventh. Mick Barry eighth. Charles Kellerman ninth. Miles Owens 10th. Daniel Hunt 11th. And John Sylvester down in 12th. Then beyond that, we've got Ayres, Griffiths, Hansford, Chanonier, Hefford, Cullinan and Bramer ready to go. The lights are going to be coming on. We're going to be going up front. We're flying along. Here are the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're green here in race 3, and it is Darrell Wright, Elise Main, Andy Littler and Jordan Surratt there as well. Main's trying to take the lead on the right hand side with the pink roll bars coming down into turn 1. Is it going to be staying clean currently at this moment in time? It seems to be, as we can see all the cars rushing along. Their banks are free going. It's not going to work. Oh, call blimey, Zach. Jacklett sent it.
Yeah, well, if in doubt, flat out, I suppose. Now he's got a pretty good run. He's going to look to the left-hand side of Elise Main, who's had a really decent start, in all fairness. Carl Jacklett, though, already up 5 places. You have to say there's a bit more of a more decent start. Still side-by-side between the pair of them, as Darrell Wright has got a bit of a more of a commanding lead after a bit of misfortune in race 1 and 2. Is looking to make amends for it here in race number 3. We're underway in racing. Bit of a top 4 breakaway, 2 seconds back between Pete Van Gogh and Mick Barry, who's now moved his way ahead. And then it's nice and calm for the top 4. It's a very different world beyond that. Look at this, 2 wide, multiple rows deep, bits of contact, cars haywire all over the place into turn 9. There's carnage, there's chaos. Oh my goodness me, there's a tyre rolling onto the circuit. There, Jamie Ayres is having a race of a night of 2 extremes, I should say. Didn't have the best race one, won race number 2, and then boom, this all comes crashing down again in race 3. What is going on?
I'm not sure.
Silly billies is what they are, James.
Yeah, they made oopsies. They did an oopsie here as well. It's Carl Jacklett just gone past Darrell Wright with Pete Van Gogh tucked up right behind him. Charles Kellerman now trying to make a move on the inside of Andy Littler as well into turn 1. He does. Kellerman is through. Here is that group of gaggle, and it is Steve Hefford up front. Barry and Griffiths. Oh no! Oh, John Sylvester.
Oh, that's big. That was a big hit. Yeah, he's not coming back out of that one. Carl Jacklett actually, meanwhile, has been able to take the lead of the race. Darrell Wright looking alongside as well, trying to retain it. In the background, Pete Van Gogh up into P3, trying to recover from what has been a poor start already for the Momo boys in race 1 and 2, looking for a better second half of the evening. Carl Jacklett keeps his first place, but Darrell Wright is keeping him honest. The top 4 separated by absolutely nothing. Jacklett, Wright, Van Gogh and Main, followed there by Miles Owens, up 5 places and 2 seconds back off the race lead. This is Owens' opportunity. He's got to seize his moment. He's got to get on the back of that pack and work his way through.
Yeah, Bramer's been off. Griffiths was involved with Barry. Sylvester went torpedoing into the barrier. Ayres went torpedoing into Hunt. And race 3 is a different story for Sir Alan Toon, who's currently down 6th in class at the moment, down in 16th overall. PVG's just about to go up the inside of Darrell Wright here going into turn 1. He's going to make it stick, I believe, on this time around. He is. That's going to now let Elise Main up. Steve Hefford is just about to go past that. Andy Littler down into turn 1 as well. Seems to be the favourite overtake place at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a couple of places to get it done, but the favourite does definitely seem to be an easy run through. Obviously, whether it's inside or outside, it's a pretty versatile corner. You can do either and make it work, but for sure, it's making sure you pick the moments as they come. You can see there Jordan Syrott on the back of Andy Littler as well, only about half a second off as they work their way through turn number 5. There's close. There's side by side for the race lead. Carl Jacklett versus Pete Van Gogh up in front. I think Jacklett has just been able to hang on to it, working their way through the sweepers once more. PVG has worked his way into the fight for the lead, and now, again, as I say, he's been given this opportunity on a silver platter, but Carl Jacklett is not going to give it up easy. Once again, looking to find an avenue through into the final couple of corners. This quick flick to the right, then the left, the chicane, then obviously the king of turn 13. Carl Jacklett leads yet another lap But PVG, Darrell Wright, Elise Main, hot on his heels. You have to, again, as I say, they are not going to give this up easily.
No. And it's interesting to know that Miles Owen's just done the fastest lap at 1:21. Now, I'm expecting Steve Hefford to come along and at least do a little bit quicker. If he hasn't, one of them should be, because further back they were doing 1:20s. So, for now, these guys are safe. But, no. Okay, so from their perspective, right, none of these have had a great evening. Sonia, Darrell Wright, Elise Main, and the sloppy. We just had a sloppy race too, down in 10th.
Yeah, but P3 race 1, it can be, I'd say you'd be debating.
All right, well, if we're going to, have a heated discussion in the booth, like, fair one. All right.
Get some boxing gloves out. But tick off another sport for Sandown.
Boxing in the booth. Yeah. All right, okay. Well, let's watch PVG just go round Carl Jacklett. Oh, no. Carl, don't. Oh, I thought he was going to try and run him up the inside into that last turn. PVG is through once more. There's a lot to gain from these four being where they are. Can I just put it that way?
Of course, yeah, 100%. You're the boss man. I agree with you, 100%. Yeah, I mean, there is a lot to gain. There's a lot to lose for all of these guys. It's going to mean a lot. Good places mean a lot to everyone. But to these four, especially tonight, also 5, Miles Owens in the mix, it is going to be a great way to consolidate what could have been a tough round for some. Elise Main, she's already got a podium tonight, but she's going to want more. She's thirsty, and now she's going to try and promote herself onto the podium. Here's a bit of a fight a little bit further back. This is the fight for the AM lead. Arnaud Chagnon versus Littler, and actually, in all fairness, it's a fight for the AM podium because Jordan Syrett's in the mix as well. Arnaud Chagnon looking to go the long way round at turn number 1, does exactly that. Has he got the momentum? He's off the track using a bit of the runoff area. On the inside, Littler's off. Oh my goodness me. He is tumbling down the order, losing so much time. Now the AM lead comes down. Oh, AM lead, I say AM second place, because you've got Darrell Wright up there in third place. Completely forgot about him. But Chagnon versus Sirett, it's a 2-horse race between them. Yeah, Darrell Wright is in this lead pack, of course, being pulled along nicely, following the pros. He hasn't given it up, which I think it's great from him, because we have seen AMs that can sometimes pull over and let the pros through, and obviously it's a bit different in a 20-car field to watching the JPB Clio Cup last night where there was 40 here. We had an AM in 5th place being swamped by a load of pros. So in the end, actually, to be fair, he actually finished 5th because the pros made some silly Billy mistakes, shall we say. So there we go. But for Darrell Wright, this is going to be a massive boost of confidence. 100%. I mean, being an AM all the way up there, I mean, we saw it with Chagnon as well, in race number 1. It means a lot as an AM, because it's like, I can do this. I'm against some of the big boys. I'm holding my own. Granted, yes, it's reverse grid format and you are placed there with them, but you still have to hold your own. And he's doing exactly that. It's Pete Van Gaal and it's Carl Jacklett. They are two very quick people, particularly, obviously, the Dutchman of PVG leading the way. Then they're no one that they're not write-offs. You don't look at them and think, oh yeah, they're in the pros, but they're not very quick. They are quick people. So yeah, Darrell Wright has really earned his keep there, leading the way in the AMs. Beautiful stuff, of course, and again, it'll be a good point relative to Arnaud Chagnon and Jordan Syrett down in 8th. And 9th between the pair of them. So Darrell Wright going to do himself a lot of favours in the AM Championship. But look at it. I mean, it's a bit dispersed more now. 7 tenths between P1, 7 tenths between 2nd and 3rd as well. But still very close. And when you've got gaps this close on a circuit like this, in cars like these, with drivers like these, James, it is a short fuse just asking for that small spark. It definitely is. And Miles Owens has gone past Elise Main. So that's Owens up into 4th now. He's up 6 overall. Hefford is up 11 currently at the moment as well. So Steve Hefford up 11 places. Miles Owens up 6. And then we've got Ralph Cullinan and Ewan Bramer further down the order, up 7 places respectively. And there is the flying Dutchman there from PRT, currently sitting down in 12th place, looking to get up onto the back of the Irishman. That is Ralph Cullinan. This could be an interesting fight further down. It looks like Cullinan's got a little bit of damage, as his boot does look like it's got a little bit bent there. A little bit. Maybe he's trying to cram a bit too much in. I don't know, potentially. Who knows? But yeah, he's a little bit on the a bit. You know, it's battle scars. Let's put it that way. You know, you got to fight the fight. You got to win the war. And along the way, some of those small little scrapes are going to come into the limelight. However, Ewan Bramer trying to recover. It's been an up and down. It's been a roller coaster of emotions for Ewan Bramer. But he's hungry. He's thirsty, and he is going to want more. It's a similar narrative for pretty much the majority of the field. They've all in their own way had their own sort of suffering of misfortune, and they're all trying to claw back some points in that regard. Here we go. Ewan Bramer looking to the left-hand side on this short run towards what is turn number 5. Ewan Bramer has got the overlap, and well, that should be a fairly easy affair unless Cullinan is, you know, ridiculously brave to the outside, which I don't think he is. And there we go. Ewan Bramer up to 11th place. Still, while it's an extra place gained, it's not where he wants to be. But 8 places in the opening few moments. It's a good points rule. Yeah,
Daniel Hunt is just battling away with Jordan Syrett here. I think Syrett's on the inside. Yeah. Okay, made a little bit harder there. I thought that was going to go a little bit more wrong, but Daniel Hunt does go through. Miles Owens goes and sets the 120 lap time that we were expecting on a 120.82. Currently up in 3rd place. Tom Griffiths, who's, well, been involved in other people's incidents, should we say, for poor old Tom this evening.
Yeah, he got sandwiched by the 2 PRT boys in race 1, and then, well, yeah, he's just not had a good day as Tom Griffiths, and he's trying to make amends for that now on the back of Cullinan and of Bramer and of Syrett. So on the fringes of a top 10, but Griffiths in his position in the championship coming into today, a couple of race wins in his pocket too. Again, it's not what he wants. It does not do a driver like him justice. He's, I believe he's one of the new guys coming into this season, if I do remember correctly. I think this is his debut season. He has really impressed, and unfortunately, he's found out the hard way that, well, some seasons do have a couple of woes along the way. There's Ewan Bramer moving his way up into 10th to the inside of Jordan Syrett. Again, an easy affair, and well, into one of the trickier places to overtake on the circuit into turn 5, not because of the corner itself, more so the corners that come after it in the form of 6, 7 and 8, and then obviously into 9. It sort of discourages a bit of overtaking. Ewan Bramer, though, doesn't shy him away at all. He goes for the move, and well, he's now worked his way up into 10th place. Daniel Hunt also not having the best of races there in 9th.
No, it's not, but I'm wondering if, from Ewan Bramer's point of view, making them moves into them corners isn't always necessarily the right thing to do, as we see Ralph Cullinan just about to go past Jordan Syrett here as well, and Tom Griffiths all at the same time. So Syrett goes down 2, of course, AMS and Bros, and then goes round.
Oh, you said that so casually. Poor Syrett.
I'm disappointed for him.
He wants you to be disappointed. He wants, oh no, Syrett's off.
Okay.
Like you were telling me pre-broadcast, bit of enthusiasm.
Really? Going down that road?
I'm going down that road. You're taking the mick out of my silly billies. I'm taking the mick out of your enthusiasm.
You know, you did make a little bit of an oopsie. So there we go. So here comes Griffiths. Past Cullinan now, and that's Griffiths up into 11th place. This is one of your closest battles on track. You can see from the left-hand side, if they are yellow, they are out half a second. Main has just closed right back up onto the end of Darrell Wright. Darrell Wright's looks like he's got a little bit of a bad run coming out of the last corner, and that's going to allow Elise Main into the podium position here as well. Absolutely stunning race for Main. Could it be the second podium of the evening, Zach?
You wait long enough for one bus and 2 come at once. Elise Main onto the podium now. A bit of a way back on Pete Van Gaal and Miles Owens, who have also sort of plateaued their fight. They're 3 seconds adrift apiece. But yeah, Elise Main past Darrell Wright. Obviously, that's going to be disappointing for Wright, but the celebrations for Elise Main. She's done so well this evening. Obviously, race 2, still a top 10, but doesn't do her pace today justice. She has obviously put the practice in, got the pace down, and she is so quick around Sandown. And I have to say, it is probably one of the more trickiest circuits of the season. And I say that when we've got circuits like Belle Isle on the calendar. It's a tricky circuit for sure. Elise Main has risen up to the occasion and now finds herself for what could be another podium. Still, you know, a little bit left of the race to go. It's not a, you know, nail in the coffin type of thing, but she's doing herself a lot of favours. She just have to be a little bit careful and not let it get to her head and force her to make that mistake, like we've seen with a couple of drivers already.
Yeah, we've seen it with a few drivers, should we say, this evening. I think there was not to be named, no, but there are been a few drivers who have made some oopsies, should we say.
You're not going to live it down, are you?
Well, hey, I'm not the one who said it.
Is this my Dan Pepples moment?
Yeah.
Is this my spinning in the pit?
I
lane?
love the
Is that
fact
what
that
it
everybody
is?
calls it Pepples. It's Peoples.
Is it people? I don't know.
I call him Peoples. He hasn't corrected me once in about a year, so I'm going to rely on that. Carl Jacklett fighting away with Steve Hefford here. Hefford on the right-hand side. We're on the final lap of the race. Is Jacklett going to be able to hold that line? He's going to run a little bit behind. Hefford's going to have the inside, the outside. He swapped back now. Oh, Jacklett. Oh. Very late defensive move there from Carl Jacklett. That kind of halted Steve Hefford's progress going forward. He's now going to come and have a second bite at him as he goes on that run up from turn 5 into turn 6. Up the hill we go. It's going to be Steve Hefford with the yellow roll barge, Carl Jacklett with the blue. Going forward now, they're coming into turn 6. Is Hefford going to be looking at pulling out? He does. He makes a move to the left-hand side. Jacklett tries to cover him off as they go running through 6, 7 and 8 there. That was a very interesting defensive move. PVG is coming around the final corner here, and he will take the race free overall and the pro victory. PVG takes the victory here in race 3, and then behind him, of course, we're going to have Miles Owens is going to come across the line. There is Owens, and then Main for her second podium of the evening. The Lioness bringing in 2 podiums, and then Darrell Wright leading the AMs currently at the moment. It is Hefford, it is Darrell Wright, it's Charles Kellerman and Dan Hunt behind that, of course, there as well. So Charlotte Ye got second in the AMs, and with 1 race to go, how is this all going to pan out, do we think? Zach, what do we think?
Honestly, it's such a cop-out answer. I don't know, because race 1, 2, and 3 have had elements of everything, right? You know, someone looks quick, next race, they're down in the dumps. They've had an incident, they've made a mistake, whatever, right? It has been a very topsy-turvy affair for this event. It's been a really, really good one. It's been fantastic racing, but it's been so unpredictable. So race 4, expect the unexpected.
Yeah, as we can see Phil there as well. Ooh, Betty, the car has done a whoopsie.
I get enough grief from Phil. I don't need this.
Oh dear.
You're sat there giggling. You're loving this, aren't you?
I am actually. 1 race, 1 heat remaining this evening here for the UkSimracers on Tuesday evening, and we will show you the results up currently at this moment in time. On your screen it is PVG was your winner, then Miles Owens and Elise Main. Darrell Wright in 4th, Carl Jacklett 5th, Steve Evans 6th, Charles Kellerman 7th, Daniel Hunt 8th, and then Arnold Chonier down in 9th. Ewan Bramer 10th, Tom Griffiths 11th, Ralph Cullen 12th, Jamie Ayres 13th, Jordan Syre 14th, Steve Hansford 15th, Andy Littler 16th, Sir Alan Toon 17th, and then Mick Barry behind him in 18th place, with John Sylvester not finishing, of course, as we saw him hit the barrier. We have got PVG sitting in the waiting room, waiting ever so patiently, is the man himself. Pete, welcome in. How are you, sir?
Evening, lads. I'm all right.
It's a
Challenging couple of races.
tough evening.
Well, tough track. Yeah. And I had some hardware issues on race 2. I just slammed it into Miles.
Yeah, he did mention that you may have tried to join the back end of his car when he popped in earlier on as well. Why is it so tough, Pete? You know, the track itself, you've got 13 corners, you've got a few rights, few lefts, and a couple of long straights. Why is it struggling and a lot of drivers making silly mistakes?
They're off-camber corners. The curbs are quite high, and there's a lot of weight shifting, and because there's quite an incline on the straights and through the corners, so it does unsettle the car a bit.
And that's the reason, we think.
I think so, yeah.
You know, because you've made a mistake as well yourself throughout the evening as well.
I have, yeah. I got caught out on race 1 going into the long left-hander because people were braking there, which is not a corner where you usually brake, so that caught me out a bit. And then on the second race, my force feedback just went for a split second, and then I couldn't control the car and slammed into the back of Miles.
Yeah, but winning for race 3. That's not a bad return.
Yeah. It's not bad. And I had a good race with Carl Jacquelet for a while there. He was hard to overtake. So, just chuffed with a win.
Yeah, and what are we expecting in race 4?
Yeah, Carnage.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Pete, for coming in with the positivity at the end of the interview there. Yeah, bringing the positivity in. But Pete, thank you so much for joining us. I'll drop you back in Momo there, buddy, and I'll catch you up maybe at the end of race 4, see how you get on.
Cheers.
Take care, mate. Well, there we go.
Good vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that, to be honest. He's had a rough couple of races and then goes and takes a win in race 3. So overall, it's been a very up and down evening for a few drivers. We're going into round 6 next week at the Knock Hill International Circuit, and then on the 25th of April we go to Daytona Road. So 2 circuits that will be rounding out April: Knock Hill and Daytona. And then of course we've got Le Mans, Nürburgring, Donington National, Silverstone National, and then the Barcelona National Circuit on the 30th of May. So interesting few races coming up. We've got about a minute and a half left of practice as we see a couple of cars: John Sylvester, Charles Kellerman, Steve Hefford and Elise Main out on track at the moment.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, they're getting in the practice that they can, every little bit that they can, keeping sharp. Obviously, the cool down between races can obviously deter you, and I guess it's not going to make a massive difference. Obviously, not hyping it up to be like you need to do practice between races, otherwise you're going to do very bad, or anything like that. It just helps, keeps you fresh, keeps you warmed up, keeps the adrenaline going. You don't have that crash, which you then have to build back up again once you get to the lights. But yeah, well, it's been an evening of racing, to say the least. No adjectives are really needed there because it's done justice itself. It's done the speaking for itself. It has been carnage. It's been chaos. And yeah, well, I am looking forward to not only race 4, but as you say, the rest of the season. This calendar is so good. And obviously I believe they are just following the official series. But whoever works at iRacing and says, you know what, yeah, these are the tracks that we're going to. Yeah, good choices.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, I think. Next couple of races are going to be sort of tail-to-tail as well with Knock Hill and Daytona. So, not sure on Le Mans on the 2nd of May, but I don't know on that one. I think it is the historic, though. There's different layout, isn't there, I believe, within iRacing?
There's I think you go through Dunlop, you go down and then you turn right. It's like the MotoGP layout of Le Mans, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'll be honest.
I'm just going to have a quick look.
There's no way it's the full Circuit de les Arts. No way.
No. Let's have a look at the
That's
historic.
almost as silly as doing Spa and Clio's. Like,
I'd like to point out there's not a lot of difference between the historic and...
Is it the chicanes?
No chicanes.
That'll be it then, I reckon.
Yeah. So the grid for race 4 is coming up now. It's going to have to be a bit of a speed one. Andy Littler, Hansford, Osira, Ayres, Cullinan rounds out your top 5. Griffiths, Bramer, Chonier, Hunt, Kellerman rounds out your top 10. And then we've got Hefford, Jacquelet. Beyond that, Darrell Wright, Main, Owens, Pete Van Gaal, Toon, Barry and Sylvester round out the grid there as well. And the reason I sped with it is because pretty much everybody's already on the grid ready to go here as well for race 4. So just waiting for Mick Barry. Not entirely sure if he's going to make it. So let's see how he gets on here for the final race of the evening, the final 15 minutes here of Heat 4. Let's see how this one turns out. The lights are coming on. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's green for race 4. Mick Barry pulls it over to the left-hand side. Not sure if he got a massive flying start or didn't get any start. It looked like he didn't get any. But it is Littler, Hansford and Ayres. Ayres is going to go literally. Oh!
Wow. Ayres like a rocket ship to the inside of turn number 1, but it's carnage, it's chaos, it's everything in between. Jordan Sire, it's off. There is, well, calamity for Carl Jacquelet, who joins Ralph Cullinan off the circuit. There's even more contact for good measure as well as they ran their way through turns 2 and 3. Big off there, Sir Alan Toon, just, well, very quietly and very passively picking his way through all the action. Andy Littler, though, back to the front. He's got Tom Griffiths to company as they fight their way side by side for second place. Jamie Ayres, understandably so, has got a bit of a margin. Etching his way ahead has the number 16 machine. They go side by side into the next sequence of corners, and that goes the way of Tom Griffiths. Andy Littler forced to concede, decides to choose to settle for P3. Here comes Ewan Bramer, though, storming on the brakes into turn number 9. That was very brave, it must be said. But Ewan Bramer, well, once again, benefiting from the reverse grid format. And, well, again, he's not going to take this opportunity sitting down.
Yeah, just hopefully this one can be maintained on the black stuff, should we say, because he's had a couple of, well, very up and down evening for Ewan Bramer here. He's just about to make the move, we believe, past Andy Littler. No real reason for Littler to get involved with this. They are different classes, of course. I'm not saying he's going to roll over and get his belly tickled, but he's probably not going to make it as hard as if it was an AM boy right behind him. So Ewan Bramer just about to go up into third place.
Silence.
I'm not really sure what to say.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That sums up his evening.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even coming back on, he's still spun it round there as well for Ewan Bramer. Daniel Hunt now making his move past Andy Littler. We're going to have the very fast three up front of Ayres, Griffiths and Hunt. Here are your 1, 2, 3 battles at the moment. Elise Main is locked in this run of cars here currently, as well as she's got Darryl Wright and Mick Barry. Barry's coming in like an absolute torpedo. More calamity chaos going ahead there as well. Andy Littler, Steve Hefford, then we've got the PRTs of Miles Owens and John Sylvester. Sylvester, of course, in race 3 went and torpedoed one of the barriers, literally like an absolute rocket, lost pretty much most of his car, and now has made his way up into 7th place, up 12 places. Again, conservative start for John Sylvester, lap 3 before he's actually started making moves.
Yeah, well, you know, the opportunities come his way. People, you know, make mistakes, go off circuit, and everything falls into place for John Sylvester, and that's what he's riding on right now. Once everything's settled down, then he makes the moves by himself. There's a bit of a look just in front. Miles Owens trying to move his way up into the top 5 past Andy Littler. No movements there, more a discouragement more than anything. Here come the Platinum boys, though. Miles Owens, John Sylvester, 6th and 7th. They're trying to work their way through together, side by side in the background as well. Van Gaal works his way past Sean Unier. There's a big snap there from John Sylvester as they exit the left-hander of turn number 4. And then, of course, they work their way up through. John Sylvester still with a very, very good run, it must be said, able to claw himself alongside his teammate Miles Owens. Andy Littler as well, though. Could we go 3 wide on the run into the sweeper left-hander of turn number 5? Looking on the inside, there is John Sylvester. Miles Owens goes through. Sylvester picks his way through past as well, using his teammate as the pry bar. Picks the gaps open, and Sylvester follows him through.
Barry's had another off, unfortunately. It looks like Mick Barry's had a rotten evening. Pete Van Gaal is just about to clear Andy Littler here as well, and that's PVG up into 7th place. 9 places overall gained for Pete Van Gaal here, so another absolutely stellar race. Hopefully he's trying to get back up to the front end, of course, where he did take the victory in race 3. 13 places for Sylvester, 10 for Owens, 9 for Van Gaal. So it just goes to show how much chaotic it was up front, and Miles Owens is being pushed along from just John Sylvester there, and hopefully that one will settle back down and John will back away and not try and push Miles Owens through the corner.
Well, what we are seeing, James, is finally teammates of the top 2, obviously Platinum Racing versus Momo in the Constructors' Championship. We're finally seeing them work together. They tripped up over each other for the majority of this evening, but now they've got their heads into shape. They've screwed it on the right way around, and they're thinking, no, we can work together here. We have got the pace to close in on the 2 Momo boys who currently occupy the top 4. Jamie Ayres leading, Steve Hefford there in 4th as well, so it's fantastic stuff from all of them. But Jamie Ayres doing a fantastic job there. He's got Tom Griffiths for company, though, so it's not going to be the easiest run in his life. Because, well, Jamie Ayres, he's already won a race tonight. He wants to make it too. Tom Griffiths, well, he's been down in the dumps. He's been in the wars, and he wants to get some redemption for it. But, yeah, the Platinum Racing team boys, they can work together nicely, which, well, they're not going to for very long because Miles Owens has lost the place, not only Sylvester, but also Van Gaal back down to 7th. It's not a major mistake, but it's enough to see him down 2 places.
Yeah, do you know the interesting thing? Looking back through my race notes, Tom Griffiths has not had an accident this evening that doesn't involve one car alone. All of his incidents have involved at least 2 or 3 cars every time he's been involved in an incident.
Well, he's only got one car around him this time, so fingers crossed his statistics help him in this fight for the lead, because unless Daniel Hunt closes the 2.5 second gap, which isn't impossible, but with just over half the race left to go, a little bit unlikely, Griffiths, he's going to be hoping that, yeah, it's not going to be a change of fortune, and he might actually be able to get away with this one, because, let's be honest, James, he deserves a break. Poor guy, he's had it rough today.
Well, yeah, he's been caught up in other people's incidents that involve 2 or more cars. I'm not surprised he's not too happy. Oh, that's not going to help realise it. So, yeah, he manages. Hopefully, he'll keep out of the way and basically be able to survive the evening with just Jamie Az in front of him. It does look like Sean Yanye has got a few cars for company, and as we go back, it is the battle for the AMs, of course. Sean Yanye, Littler are right. Are currently at 1, 2, 3 in your arms. Miles Owens has had an off track and has dropped behind them, and this is why Miles Owens had an off. This involved did it involve Pete Van Gaal again, or was this all on your own? It was all, yeah, it was all on his own, and he dropped down the order there. So Miles Owens, unfortunately, making his own bed, as they say, and now he's got to lie on it and fight his way back past Darryl Wright, Andy Littler and Sean Yanye. Looks like Owens may, yes, I think it's probably calling it an evening, shall we say. But back up front, it is still tight. Jamie Az and Griffiths battling away for the lead with 7.5 minutes remaining. I think I've worked out how Barney keeps his arms equal. He must do 1 arm push-ups to keep them the same size, of course, referring to Barney, the flag bearer here in iRacing, the strongest right arm ever, constantly waving for pretty much most of the final lap, if not all of it, of course, and balances it out by doing 1 arm push-ups, says Phil. So there we go. Darryl Wright here going to go up the inside of Andy Littler. In through the corner he goes. Job done through 6, 7, 8 and 9, and that is Darryl Wright up into second in the AMs overall. Carl Jacqueline, well, clearly been involved in an incident there, mate.
I think at some point he's come into contact. It's just a hunch, but at some point he might have just tapped someone a little bit, because funnily enough, the MX5s do come with a front bumper from the factory. We'll take another look as to actually what happened. Does it involve the car behind him? No, it doesn't. Oh, wow.
Yes, it does.
Huge curb. Oh, it does eventually. Boom. Oh, that's awkward. And that's physics as well. The front bumper somehow detaching itself. Too much speed into turn 1. Caught the curb. It flicked the left-hand side tyres up in the air. Destabilised the car. He come back on. It wasn't the most high-speed crash in the world, but it was high enough speed that iRacing determined that he doesn't have a front bumper anymore. So unfortunate for Carl Jacqueline there, but he's still in P11 and he's still on the back of E1 Bramer if he wants to get himself back inside the top 10. Very close for the lead, but also very close here. Pete Van Gaal versus John Sylvester, a direct fight between the 2 titans in terms of the constructors. Momo versus Platinum, and well, obviously Van Gaal's going to be relying on Steve Hefford to give him a bit of a helping hand in this fight.
Yeah, I think from Hefford's point of view, he's got to kind of play a team role here and pull PVG along. He obviously doesn't want to go slow enough where he backs himself into it, but he needs to keep him within that half second to allow him to get the draft, I think, to be able to move away, because Sylvester is speedy. Apart from race 3, he's been there or thereabouts every single time, so I'm expecting him to do it well here again. You know, he's getting podium in race 1, podium in race 2, race 3 we saw what happened to him, and it looks like he's currently sitting in 6th place at the moment. Could he get Steve Hefford in 4th?
I would say there's a good opportunity for it. Obviously, he's all by himself. He's a lone man versus the couplet of the 2 Momo guys, which obviously is not going to help.
Oh.
He's isolated, he's by himself, and the Momo boys want him to know that. But if they start tripping up over each other, if Van Gaal goes for the move past Hefford, John Sylvester's going to see it as an opportunity. You can see he's pushing the red and white Momo through. That's going to give him the inside line and force his way past Steve Hefford using the draft as well. And there we go, easy affair. Van Gaal just obviously helping Sylvester get past his teammate. Obviously not his intention, but now Sylvester's in a precarious situation. He's got to attack a Momo, but he's also got to keep one behind as well, and that is a very tricky situation to be in.
Yeah, well, I think the only good saving grace, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Steve Hepbur's up to speed now. He obviously said coming earlier on, he said he hasn't done much practice this week. So from Sylvester's point of view, if he's been out on the track and doing a little bit more, he might have the pace to pull away here as well. But up front, Griffiths is almost pushing along Jamie Ayres. This is going to be Tom Griffiths going down into turn 1. There is Alan Toon. Toon looks like he's been in his own battles, and it is Griffiths through with Daniel Hunt waiting in the shadows. Ayres is going to try and go back up the inside, is he? Oh, not again. Oh, just, I saw death for Tom Griffiths there again. I'm sure Alan Toon's going to move over and allow these cars through. He does do ever so well. Back, you can see back up front, Griffiths has cleared, Sylvester's cleared PVG, and Hunt and PVG now are side by side on this run down through 5 into 6. It's almost like they need to do what Sylvester done to PVG. Like, he needs to tuck in and push Hefford along, you know, to try and get the inside line.
Absolutely, 100%, and unfortunately that's not what's going on. The two Momo boys are side by side as opposed to fighting the Platinum car in front. All they're doing is, well, not helping themselves, not doing themselves any favours. Obviously, he's not too far in the distance, so still a possibility. Ayres leads now, this time from Daniel Hunt. Tom Griffiths is now a second and a half behind on that previous lap. Daniel Hunt has brought himself back into contention. This is why. Griffiths led. Jamie Ayres on the counter-attack. Daniel Hunt, look at the closing speed. Oh my word. He's in a different realm in terms of engine speed on that particular occasion. Into this corner. He just lets them go through. Wow. Okay. I was expecting a little bit more feist from that, but he was just like, yeah, cool. You guys go through.
Was that airing on the side of the caution, considering he hasn't finished any of the races this evening, you reckon?
It's a podium. He doesn't want to risk it, and now there's two cars in the situation. He doesn't want to risk it at all. There's John Sylvester. Heff is able to work his way back through. Van Gool in the mix. They were obviously lapping Sir Alan Toon, which sort of threw a spanner in the works. While Toon has been able to move out the way for people and respect the blue flags, etc., etc. Where and when you catch cars definitely makes a difference, and well, it's added a bit of a spanner into the works of this fight. The top three, Ayres, Hunt and Griffiths, now separated by less than a second once again, going into the final couple of minutes of race number 4. We have two very important fights here, one for the lead and one for the constructors.
Yeah, let's see how Sylvester, whether or not he's going to be able to clear Hefford here. Jamie Ayres has literally got Daniel Hunt tucked up right behind him on that run down into turn 11. Hunt doesn't make the move. He gets a little bit squirrely though. He takes that outside curb on the right hand side there, which is a little bit unusual line to be hitting that curb at the same time as we do go across now for the white flag here this evening, the last lap of the last heat at Sandown in Australia, of course. Let's see how this one pans out. The interesting thing here, right, is Hunt is in the same voice chat as Jamie Ayres. So is there going to be teamwork almost from Tom Griffiths, even though they're not in the same team?
Well, even Bremer and Miles Owens are in the same voice chat. That didn't stop them in race 1.
Oh, Tom Griffiths is in with these guys as well.
Oh, this is either going to be the loudest and most full of laughter voice chat you've ever seen, or it is going to be the most dead quiet. I want to win this. There's no other way about it. You can see Ayres defensive. Hunt pulls out to the left-hand side of the shot. That's the right-hand side of the circuit. They battle their way in towards turn number 5. It's the outside line for Hunt. He's going to do it. He's going to catapult himself into the race lead on the final lap, continuing to go side by side through the sweepers. Oh my goodness me. Into the braking zone of turn number 9, and Ayres is back through. Discourages Hunt though. He's off the line. Here comes Griffiths. The better run through into the slipstream of Ayres. Could this be Tom Griffiths' time in the limelight?
He's going to go up the inside. He's going to try and send it. Oh, no. I think it's going to be Ayres. Ayres is going to get him. Is this going to be Griffiths over Hunt down on the line? It is. Griffiths is going to get Daniel Hunt at the end there, and Hunt comes across the line in third place. John Sylvester did get the upper hand on the two Momo boys of PVG and Steve Hefford, but that was a battle to the end here in race 4 for the pros. In the arms, it looks like Arnaud Chagnier has going to come across the line and take the victory. Darrell Wright in second, Ewan Bramer tucks in 9th, Andy Littler behind him taking third place there. But that, well, could have been a different story there, and as you say, that voice chat would have been one of laughter or one of just pure and utter silence at that point.
beautiful stuff. I'd like to know, actually, which side of the spectrum it was. I have a feeling, obviously, light-hearted, bit of banter. They were probably, like, egging each other on, you know, bit of taunting, things like that, hopefully, because, well, that's what I'd do. I'd be trying to have a laugh and get some, release the tension a little bit. Or, yeah, they're stone-faced. They're like, yeah, no chance. You're not getting a peep out of me. Not only do I want sheer concentration, I also don't want to be distracted by you either. But I'm sure they've got something to talk about now. They've crossed the line and everyone can just take a massive deep breath.
Yeah, they definitely can. The feature results are up now, ready to go for Heat 4. Here we go. Jamie Ayres is in first, Tom Griffiths second, Daniel Hunt third, John Sylvester fourth, Pete Van Gould fifth, Steve Hefford in sixth place, Arnold Chagnon seventh, Darrell Wright eighth, Ewan Brayman ninth, Andy Littler 10th, Carl Jacklett in 11th, Ralph Cullenham 12th, Elise Main 13th, Steve Hansford 14th, Charles Kellerman 15th, Sir Alan Toon 16th, and then beyond that we've got Miles Owens, Mick Barry and Jordan Syrett rounds out your top 19. We've got Carl Jacklett in the interview room waiting patiently. Carl, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm good. It's been a mixed night, but yeah, I've had some good pace. I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, and not always had the complete car crossing the line, should we say?
No, well, I think there's probably quite a few bangs in the back.
And also no bumper.
Yeah, that doesn't help in the last race.
No, and I believe you lost it in the race before as well, did you not, in race 3? Oh no, you took...
Don't recall.
No, you were second place in race 3. Race 2, I think you might have lost your bumper.
No, race 2, I was second. Race 1, I
Race 1, that was it, yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
it was
race
a long
1.
time ago.
Yeah, it was. You know, as you say, a very up and down evening here, Carl. You know, what's the plan going forward for yourself then? Because it's been a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always a tough one. Just got to do the best I can and try and stay out of trouble as much as I can. Really pleased with the start on race 3. That was, what, 7th to 1st in quarter of a lap?
Yeah.
Awesome through the into the first chicane. That was great, lovely move. Really pleased with that. All just fitted in nicely. Yeah, I'm very happy overall tonight. I was very disappointed I got turned in race 3 when I was in second, but yeah, people make mistakes.
They definitely do.
It happens. He apologised, so all is good.
Well, there we go. Carl, thank you so much for joining us. But anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, the optical team. We're gelling really nicely. It's good under Charles's leadership.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us there, buddy. We'll pop you back in the optical room and enjoy yourself. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, see you next week.
Take care. Right, well, there is Carl Jack. To be fair, he actually seems quite in good spirits there.
Fair enough. I wouldn't be.
No, but he seems to be quite happy. So
yeah, fair play to him.
Fair play. So there we go, guys. That rounds out another evening of racing with the UkSimracers MX5 live from Sandown with myself, James Parfitt, and Zach Sweeney, and broadcast live on the JPB YouTube channel. Don't forget, guys, as well, if you are here for the first time, subscribe, turn on the bells, and give the video a big old thumbs up, because that will be absolutely amazing, as we're only 124 subscribers away from that magical 1K. So it would be absolutely incredible if you can do that as well. So that brings us to the end of the night. From myself and Zach Sweeney, take care, have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.